For the longest time, I genuinely believed I was a good husband, the kind of man who trusted easily and gave people the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't the type to snoop through my wife's phone or question every move she made. Jealousy didn't seem necessary to me. Love was based on trust, and I believed that alone should be enough. Vanessa, my wife, wasn't a bad person. In fact, she was lively and captivating in many ways, but she had a habit I ignored for far too long. She liked to push boundaries. She tested limits just to see how far she could go before I would finally react. Sometimes it was harmless, like spending money on things we didn't really need or coming home late without warning. I convinced myself it wasn't worth arguing over, but deep down I sensed something more deliberate in her behavior, a subtle defiance in her eyes, like she was daring me to push back. And then there was Jake. I recognized this type the moment I met him. Vanessa insisted he was just a friend, but he wasn't just anyone. He was her ex. From experience, I knew men like him don't just hang around for no reason. They wait, blending into the background as a loyal friend, biding their time for an opportunity. I voiced my concerns about Jake more than once, not out of irrational jealousy, but because I saw clearly what kind of man he was. Each time, Vanessa dismissed me with a laugh, saying, "You're overthinking it," or, "He's like a brother to me. Richard, stop being insecure." The usual reassurances. I wanted to believe her, so I let it go again and again. But even trust has its limits, and Vanessa was about to find out exactly where mine lay. One quiet evening, we were sitting in the living room with the TV humming softly in the background. She was casually scrolling through her phone, chatting about her day when she mentioned, as if it were nothing, "Some of my old friends are planning a weekend getaway," she said. They had rented a beach house in the Bahamas to relax, catch up, and have fun like old times. At first, it seemed harmless. I had never been the kind of husband to control where she went or who she spent time with. Our marriage was built on independence, living our own lives while choosing to share them. But then she added, "Jake's coming too." The moment she said his name, something shifted inside me. There was a barely noticeable pause as she watched me, waiting, daring me to object. She wanted me to say something. I had warned her about Jake for years, not out of jealousy or pettiness, but because I knew exactly who he was. This time, instead of reacting the way she expected, raising my voice or listing my concerns, I stayed calm. "If you go," I said evenly, "don't bother coming back." Her eyes widened briefly, surprised. Then she laughed, as if I just made a ridiculous joke. "God, Richard, you're so dramatic," she said, rolling her eyes and giving me that mocking smirk. Then came the usual defenses. "You're overreacting. Jake's just a friend. You need to stop being so insecure." I didn't argue or try to explain myself. I simply said, "Do what you want," and meant it. She thought I was bluffing. She always thought I was bluffing. But this time I wasn't. The morning of her trip, she moved through the house humming softly as she packed, treating it like any ordinary vacation. She folded her clothes carefully, checking her phone now and then, probably keeping up with the group chat. Occasionally she glanced at me, expecting me to beg her to stay or have a change of heart. But I stayed silent. When she finished packing, she wheeled her suitcase to the front door, walked over, and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. "Love you," she said lightly, almost dismissively, as if we hadn't had a conversation days ago. Then she grabbed her keys and left. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I just stood by the window and watched as she loaded her bags into the taxi, slid into the seat, and disappeared down the street. Once the taxi turned the corner, I picked up my phone. It was time to act. The decision was made. Now I had to follow through. Step 1, the locks. I had already arranged for a locksmith the day before. Within an hour, all the locks in the house were changed. The keys Vanessa had in her purse were worthless now. When she returned, she'd find a locked door in a life she was no longer part of. Step 2, her belongings. I went to our bedroom, to her side of the closet, her dresses, shoes, perfumes, everything she had carefully arranged in our home. I packed it all up, each item boxed neatly and labeled to be sent to her parents' house. I didn't want to give her any excuse to come back, not even to retrieve a forgotten sweater. The final step, the divorce papers. I called my attorney and told him, I'm ready, make it official. There was no hesitation in my voice. This wasn't a threat to scare her. It was a decision made with absolute clarity. Vanessa had spent years testing my patience, pushing me closer to the edge. I had always come back around before. She believed she had me figured out, that I would complain, maybe give her the cold shoulder, but eventually cave. But this time was different. This time I was done. The rest of the day, I moved through our home with calm determination. The space we once shared no longer felt heavy. It was as if a weight had lifted. The years of mistrust, the gut feelings I ignored, the pain of pretending not to see, it all felt lighter. The house felt freer. And for the first time in years. So did I. That night, as I lay down, a sense of peace washed over me. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Vanessa thought she was off on a carefree trip, unaware that everything would change when she returned. She had made her choice, and now she would have to live with the consequences. I didn't spend any more time thinking about Vanessa. She was no longer part of my life. The decision had been made, everything was set, and I was ready to move on. I assumed she was still at the beach house, relaxing with her friends, completely unaware that by the time she returned, she wouldn't have a place there anymore. But then on the fourth day, 3 days earlier than I expected, she showed up. I got an alert on my phone from a security camera at the front door. Curious, I checked the live feed. There she was, Vanessa, standing on the porch with her bags at her feet, casually reaching for the doorknob. She turned it, expecting to walk in like nothing had changed, but the door wouldn't open. She tried repeatedly, growing more frustrated with every attempt. I watched her expression shift from confusion to realization when it dawned on her that the locks had been changed. She immediately grabbed her phone, and within seconds, mine started ringing. I waited before answering. Richard, she breathed, her voice trembling. The door won't open. I kept my tone steady and distant. You don't live here anymore. There was silence on the other end. Just her shaky, uneven breathing as she tried to process what I'd said. Your things are at your parents' house. I added. Expect the divorce papers in a week or two. More silence, then desperation. Richard, please wait. Let me just... But I hung up before she could finish. Within moments, my phone buzzed again. Her name flashed on the screen, but I ignored it. Then came the texts, one after another. Richard, please talk to me. I messed up. I'm so sorry. It's not what it looks like. I stared at the screen as the messages kept coming. I wasn't angry or sad. I felt nothing. This was the same woman who had laughed when I warned her about Jake. The same woman who had kissed me goodbye sure I wouldn't do anything about it. And now she was pleading. Another message appeared. Please, pick up. There's something I need to tell you. I checked the camera again. Vanessa was pacing, her face flushed, her hands trembling. She looked frantic, running her fingers through her hair, clearly rattled. The messages stopped, but then a voice note came through. I hesitated before playing it. Her voice came through the speaker, cracked, raw, panicked. Richard, please listen to me. You were right about Jake. I should have listened to you. I never expected any of this. I drank too much, and when I woke up, something happened. Jake recorded it. He's blackmailing me. I heard the hitch in her breath, the panic in her voice. I didn't want you to find out like this. I didn't know what to do. Please, Richard, I need you. I sat there listening to her desperate words. She was scared, not just because of what she'd done, but because she had lost control. The man she trusted had betrayed her, and now she wanted me to fix it. Once, maybe I would have. Maybe I would have let my heart soften and convinced myself that love meant forgiveness. But that man was gone. I typed one final message. Enjoy your life, Vanessa. You made your choice. Now live with it. Then I blocked her. That was the last chapter in a story that should have ended long ago. I didn't look back.